365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish we-done whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Welcome 365 listeners, we are here for week one of the 365 journey to or road to the Infinity Wars, which is, I saw a meme online basically saying that if you were to watch every MCU movie from the 1st of January, one a week, you will get to Infinity Wars when it comes out. So that is what we're doing. We're all watching these films and we're going to be recording episodes and we're going to be bringing you our thoughts, but we didn't want to do it alone, did we, Chris?
We did not.
No.
We did not, because it's more work that way than more than anything.
It's a hell of a lot of work, and we don't do work. We don't do work.
Well, I don't.
So, as you will see from the title of these episodes, we have got some guests with us, and we have the first episode, which is going to be the Iron Man episode. We have big, sexy Dev from Snake Oil Comics. How are you doing, Dev?
I am doing great.
This is great.
I think you forgot to introduce me as the official side guy for Hobie too.
We don't talk about Hobie because they fix floppies. So yeah,
that's true.
Have you guys?
Yeah, I've not listened to the entire episode, but at the moment anyway, I am the winner of Brit of the Week of the Year. But I understand that I have been royally screwed out of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
You got the.
And I think this may affect Hobie coming on the podcast, to be honest with you.
One thing that I would like to bring up about the floppies, while we're talking about it, we won't talk about it too long because we don't want to give them airtime. But one thing I would like to bring up is the fact that unless you are a host of the History of Bad Ideas, if the public votes for you, it then goes to the table, because the public voted for me unanimously for Brit of the Year, and then they all had a vote, which meant I got screwed out of it. But in the
it was a landslide for me, though, to be fair.
But on the impressions section, Jeff won the public vote, and there was no round the table discussion. He just won it because he's a host. So I feel a bit gypped.
As you should.
Exactly. I campaigned like a motherfucker, and I still got screwed.
I'm keeping that floppy, by the way.
You keep all the floppies you want, mate.
I am keeping that floppy. Yep. Anyway, welcome back to 365, Dev, my friend. How have you been keeping?
I've been pretty good. Hanging in there, watching a lot of really good Christmas movies over the holiday break. A little Die Hard 2, Eyes Wide Shut.
Fucking Die Hard.
It counts.
So by that rationale, last night on one of our council channels, we call them council channels because they're free, they were playing Jurassic World last night, and something I did not realise is that movie is actually set at Christmas. So does that make Jurassic World a Christmas movie?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie just because the same way Die Hard is.
Well, it is my new favourite Christmas movie.
Is it set at Christmas?
Yeah. Something I didn't realise, but at the very start of the movie, when the parents are shipping them off because they're really bad fucking parents, they sending them to a dinosaur island. It's Christmas time, and there's Christmas music, and they're in an airport, which is kind of a little bit like Die Hard 2.
Well, there you go.
So it counts.
Yep.
There you go. I've not seen that movie in a while, to be fair.
So how was your Christmas, Dev? Did you have a good one?
Oh yeah, it was great. I got a Bob Ross Funko Pop and
Nice.
A beer cap map of Michigan.
That is all you could ask for.
Yeah, good stuff.
Right, so we are... Oh, wait a minute. Chris, you've got a job to do.
Oh, again? Oh, no, I haven't done it yet, have I, officially?
Don't pull back the curtain on the fact that we're recording these well ahead of time.
No, timey-wimey. We don't do that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, before I do that, Dev, you go. Plug your... I know you've got like 20 podcasts, so plug the ones you want to plug, mate.
Snake Oil Comics is the main show that I do, and Shot of History is my other show. It's 30 minutes of history talk, and we get drunk occasionally. It's a great time.
Nice.
But your best show is when you come on 365.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Interestingly enough, this is like what I think this is the second time you've been on 365, but is this will be the first time it goes actually in our feed?
No, I think this is definitely the first official time I've been on the show, and then the only other time was the Hurricane Harvey relief. You came on Snake Oil once.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking of.
We did. Yeah, that was an ordeal.
Yeah.
I basically got slammed by Travis for liking BVS. He wasn't happy.
Well, to be fair, Travis didn't like The Last Jedi either. He actually today said they should have paid him to watch that movie.
I fully agree. So yeah.
Have you seen it, Dev? Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I actually liked it way more than The Force Awakens.
That's because you're a Disney whore.
Yes.
What's that? They're both Disney, you tit.
No, I genuinely do not like The Last Jedi. I've made my bones with it now. I tried to defend it a little bit in our episode. I'm no longer going to be defending the movie. It is piss poor. So, yeah.
Wow.
So, Chris, you've got...
I don't know about all that.
Well, I think you're wrong, Dave. Chris, you have a job to do.
It's not that bad.
No, it is. No, it really is.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Shut up. Okay, so do you want to tell anyone where they can find you and all that, Dev? Where they can subscribe to you and stuff?
SOC Podcast, at Shot of History, and at Podman Big Dev on Twitter, and that's probably the easiest place to get a hold of me. And then, everything is pretty much linked from there.
Good man.
Cool,
Good man. Okay.
And we recommend you do.
Definitely. You can also find 365 on the Twitter and on the Facebooks as well. You can subscribe to us on the iTunes or Apple Podcast. I need to decide which one I'm going to say.
Well, they keep changing the name, so...
Yeah. Leave us 5-star reviews, and we will maybe, possibly, if we can be bothered, read them out on these episodes.
We haven't yet, but we
haven't yet, but we might. We might do if the mood takes us. Also, follow us on Spotify and you can also look for us and subscribe to us on any other third-party podcasting app that you can find.
Yay! That's us.
Done.
Mr. Stark, you've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
What do you say to your other nickname, the Merchant of Death?
That's not bad. They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I prefer the weapon you only need to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far. To peace.
Is it cool if I take a picture with you?
Yes, it's very cool. I don't want to see this on your MySpace page. Please, no gang signs. No, throw it up. I'm kidding.
So yeah, Dev, Chris, we are here to talk about Iron Man, the first in the MCU franchise going forward. It came out in 2008, May the 2nd, over in the US, I believe it was. I didn't bother looking at where when it came out over here, because that would be work. Movie came out, and it grossed, I believe, $585 million worldwide.
Wow.
That's it. That's a chunk of change. That's a chunk of change for a superhero movie.
That's a respectable amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, just can we get some thoughts and feelings on when the movie came out? Do you remember when this movie came out and how you when you went to see it and what it did for you?
I don't really remember it. I didn't go and see this in the cinema, because I remember seeing trailers for it, and I actually thought, fuck that. Honestly, I had no interest in seeing the movie, and then I was bored one night, and I watched it on Sky Box Office.
Wow.
Yeah, and absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it.
And yourself?
And the rest was history.
And yourself, Dev?
Man, it's been so long since it actually came out. It's if I remember correctly, the first trailer that I watched, I was super excited because I felt casting Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark was like a spot on casting. So, and Jon Favreau is, he's a pretty fantastic director. So I was super excited to go see this movie. And when I went and saw it, I was definitely not disappointed. All of the history that Iron Man has in the comics, and then to have Robert Downey Jr. playing that character, it built in a backstory that they really didn't have to put in, but it definitely worked for what they were doing.
Are you talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s troubled past?
Yes. his very, very troubled past.
Because he was a bit of a wild child at the time. So this, for Marvel, yeah. although this completely paid off, this was probably one of the riskiest things I would say Marvel's ever done, was casting Robert Downey Jr., but it fully paid off.
Yeah, I think originally they were pushing back on allowing him to star in the movie because it had been a while since he had done anything at that point. Any big time blockbuster movies. So it was a big, huge risk for them to actually be like, yeah, we'll let you go with your vision and shoot this the way you want to.
Yeah.
Ally McBeal, he did Ally McBeal.
I was good in that. I'll give him that.
He was good in that, yeah. Yeah. Then he got hired off for being a druggie.
And he was good in Rehab. They loved him in that. He did a few performances on that stage show. So yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the same as Chris. I didn't go to the cinema to see this because this is why I wanted people like Dev. We've got Andrea coming on an episode later on. We've got a few other guys who are like really into their comic books, and I'm never been a big Marvel fan per se, but I've always kind of been a big sort of, like, I like my comic book movies, I like my superhero movies, my Batman and all that, my Superman, but I didn't really know anything about Iron Man, so I got to go in and watch this completely blind, not knowing anything about the history, just thinking, my God, I'm so happy to see Robert Downey Jr. in a big-ass movie again. That was my main reason for watching Iron Man, was because Downey Jr. was in it, and I've always been a Downey Jr. fan, so that's pretty much why I watched Iron Man. Turns out it's a fucking great movie, so yeah, that's pretty much my my recollection of it.
And as Dev said, it is perfect casting. It's like Wolverine. You can't imagine anyone else ever playing that role.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And we don't have to.
Well, no.
At least not until the reboot after Phase 4.
Yeah, are we going to get that? Are they going
It'll probably end up being like a soft reboot. They'll probably transition into the Ironheart storyline or something like that.
So we're not going to get, like, was it Riri? Is Riri not going to come in?
Yeah, that's the Ironheart character.
Is that what it
is?
See, that's why I'm glad you're here, Dev, because I'm just not as much into my comics as you are. So this is where you guys are going to have to help me out, because we're going to go through the movie and we're going to pick out some of our favourite parts and all that. I watched this movie last week, but to be honest, I'm heavy into playing Phone Destroyer, the South Park game, so I was pretty much playing that at the same time as watching this, so we're going to go through this. But the movie pretty much opens up in, it's like Iraq or something like that, and we get to meet Tony Stark just being the coolest motherfucker on the planet with some army dudes, and then they get attacked, and that's pretty much that.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot that once that sort of happens and he goes into the cave, that they kind of go back and they show you like sort of the beforehand. I forgot they did that.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool way to open up your film. It's
yeah, a little bit of a Quentin Tarantino moment at the beginning of the movie.
We all
definitely, yeah.
We all like a bit of that. So then they go back and they show you sort of Tony Stark being Tony Stark, the sort of man of the year, Time magazine and all that, get some like nice little montages, kind of like what the Incredible Hulk did, but sort of better, let's be honest. What?
No, it is better. It is better. You know, to be fair,
I don't know. I mean, Incredible Hulk it was all right. I mean, it was. I don't think they had it as well fleshed out totally what they were going to be doing at that point in time. Did Incredible Hulk originally come out prior to Iron Man, or did it actually come out after?
It came out like 3 months after Iron Man.
Yeah, so they had already. Yeah, they had already started down the path of... They probably didn't figure that Iron Man was going to do too well.
Well, that's what we said. We kind of said that... we've said it a lot of times that basically, you know, if Iron Man didn't do as well as it did, we wouldn't have had this whole MCU thing, but they had no fucking idea that it was going to do that well.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you figure... Incredible Hulk came out 2 to 3 months after Iron Man, and Incredible Hulk has that Tony Stark cameo at the very end.
Yeah,
you know, I think once it did as well as it did, they were like, "Oh shit, we've got something here. We've got to capitalize on this."
Yeah, we got to shoehorn that scene in. But I mean, I'm saying shoehorn, very derogatory way of saying it. It doesn't feel shoehorned.
Well, that's what sets up. Yeah, I mean that's what sets up every post-credit scene ever in every Marvel.
Exactly. So where do we go from there? You have the explosion. He realizes it's his rocket, his warhead that's done this, and then you get a flashback, and they show you Tony being Tony, and that's intercut with sort of like him being in the cave, learning to craft the very first Iron Man suit in a cave with some scraps.
Well, he with a box of scraps.
With a box of scraps. While we've just done that, I have to touch. Jeff Bridges is fucking great in this movie.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. He was a
Everybody's great in this movie, though.
Can we say though, like, because Jeff Bridges over the years has turned into this guy that you can barely understand what he's saying now, and he loves doing it where he's kind of like. I always thought it started with True Grit. I honestly believe now that it started with Iron Man, because the scenes in Iron Man that you can see the True Grit character coming out of Jeff Bridges.
So you think there was like more of that scene, but they cut it out. So it's like, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Yeah, that's how it actually went. Possibly, yeah. Deleted scene.
You'd have to hope.
So he's in the cave, and before he creates the suit, he has to, obviously he's got the shrapnel on his chest, so he's got this clunky ass thing attached to him with a battery. Car battery.
Yeah.
So he has to thingy the mini arc reactor, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty badass little montage showing Tony Stark doing what Tony Stark does.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool little segment.
And you get that whole scene is he's working with the doctor that basically inspires him to become a better man. So
yeah. Definitely. But there's also a bit that is badass and also kind of sinister as hell, where the cheeky little Arab fella brings them out of the cave.
Cheeky little Arab fella.
And says, I want is it Jericho missile, is that right? Jericho?
Yeah.
And he says, if you build that for me, because the guy is translating for him, if you build that for me, I'll let you go. And Tony Stark is shaking his hand, and he goes, no, I won't. And the guy goes, like, no, he won't. And the guy's like a big cheesy smile. I love that little moment. That little moment is great.
Okay.
So he decides then he's going to build his iron suit, and badass iron suit it is.
And blow them all up. But before we go any further with that, a quick question for you, Dev, because obviously when we get to Iron Man 3, we have the Mandarin. You know how they have that scene when they're he's basically on TV and they're going to behead him or whatnot, which we later find out wasn't on TV.
Oh yeah.
Sent to Obadiah. The banner in the background with all the rings around it, is that the Mandarin's crew?
That's a good question, because in Iron Man 3, it's really the Mandarin is created by AIM as a front for AIM's global domination. So I think it's more just a coincidence than more than anything.
So like a little, maybe a little nod to the fans.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's probably more a nod to the fans, or I think later on, because that design might even be in Iron Man 3 as part of the Mandarin.
I'm almost certain it is.
So they may have brought it into the third movie for people to be just like, oh yeah, I see what you did there.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Ties it together a little bit.
Yeah. Before
they completely ruin it with Ben Kingsley.
Well, don't be jumping ahead. Don't be jumping ahead.
I am looking forward to getting to the Iron Man 3 episode. I really am. There's going to be some rants. But yeah, so he's in the cave. He's working with the Doctor. He makes the first Iron Man suit. He learns to be a better man, as is the origin of almost every superhero movie ever. And then he escapes, and he's going to take away. He's going to stop building sort of warheads, kind of, and he's going to make the world a better place. Tony Stark. That's where he is when he gets out.
You got to talk about the escape scene, though.
The escape scene is pretty cool. It is
How
pretty cool.
Fucking badass is that suit?
It is. It's pretty awesome.
The bit with the flamethrower, when the flamethrower's going like right across the screen.
You know what I do love about that as well is the reveal of the suit, because something that never really occurred to me until I watched it last week was the fact that, when it all goes dark and then the suit powers up and then all the terrorists are coming down to get him and all that, and he's going through there, you don't really see the suit until he sort of sees the Doctor half dying. And that's sort of like, that's a big reveal, and they don't really give it to you for a good 2 or 3 minutes, which is a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Less is more.
But this is one of those things, as Dev was saying earlier, Jon Favreau, he is a good director and he makes bloody good choices, and I like almost everything he does in this film. I like Jon Favreau. I do.
Yeah, you see bits and pieces of the detail in drawings.
Yeah.
But you don't officially get the reveal until that cave exit scene right there with the Doctor and everything. It's a beautiful cinematography.
Exactly, but most directors and most other superhero movies, they would have shot their load and they would have shown you that as quick as possible. And Favreau's like, no, we're gonna make them work for it. We're gonna make them work for it. They're gonna see all this epic battle. You're gonna see all this, and then, whew, there he is. That's the best way I could do it. I had a shit voice. So yeah, he escapes. It is badass. And then he comes back to the world, and it turns out he's going to make the world a better place. He's going to use the Iron Man suit. He's going to hone it. He's going to make it better, and they're going to use the suit for good. But of course, you've got Jeff Bridges up in there, who's Jeff Bridging it all over the place. And it turns out he's got other plans for the suit. Well, not the suit per se, but he's got other plans for the company.
Not yet. Yeah, he's got.
Well, he had other plans for the company right from the get-go, as we find out later.
Yeah, I really like Jeff Bridges in this movie. So cool.
Yeah, he plays that father figure turned asshole real well.
And of course, just the voice is just excellent.
Well, yeah.
So we get back to the world. Pepper Potts. I have real problems with Pepper Potts, so I'm going to let you boys take this for a second. How do we feel about Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie?
Probably one of the only movies that I can stand Gwyneth Paltrow
in. Not even Shakespeare in Love?
No.
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. I mean, I think when I first saw her in the movie, I was like, it's Gwyneth Paltrow. But I think she's definitely the weakest of the characters in the Iron Man series. But she does fine. It is what it is.
They've got to build her up to when she goes into the Iron Man suit. That's what they've got to build her up.
Fucking hell. Right, okay.
Yeah.
You just went there.
It's a journey, Kev. It's a journey.
Well, that is pretty much it's apt you said that, because that's pretty much what this movie is. It's a journey for Tony Stark, sort of coming to grips with who he's going to be and his place in the world now as the Iron Man and as the new Tony Stark. Pepper sort of coming to grips with the fact that she's sort of going to have more of a role in this because Tony fucking needs her. I really like Terrence Howard in this movie as Rhodey. Like, how do we feel about Rhodey? Because Terrence Howard kind of got ripped off.
I think he did. I think he did. I like Terrence Howard in this movie as well. I like him as an actor. I mean, maybe it's a bit of a dick in person. I don't know. Maybe that's why he was recast. I really don't know. But I think I prefer his Rhodey to Don Cheadle's Rhodey. I think he should have been in the Iron Man 2.
Yeah, he definitely should have been the guy going forward, but I think he kind of has a history of getting shit canned from movies. I mean, I'm not sure I can't remember if he badmouthed the movie originally or what it was that ended up getting him shit canned from this.
As I remember it, it was more the money sort of aspect, because obviously Robert Downey Jr. was, I believe from the word go, Robert Jr. was the only one that was getting all the money basically, because when they cast, like, you know how they cast them and then they put them on these like 7-picture contracts, but you're not going to get the big nut now, you're going to do 2 or 3 movies and then you're going to get the big nut. I'm sure Downey Jr., he was pretty much paid fantastically well from the get-go. And Terrence Howard, as far as I remember, wasn't happy about that, and he wanted more money, basically. As far as I remember, I could be wrong, but that's how I remember it.
Well, were they signing guys to multi-movie deals at that point in time?
I don't think they were at that point, but I'm sure when they took on Hemsworth.
Or maybe Robert Downey Jr. did have. Well, no, because they were really leery about giving him a job in the first place. So I would be surprised if they had signed him to a multi-contract deal.
And I remember when they finally took on Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, he was cast for a 9-picture. That was his contract, was like 9 movies.
Jeez.
Like, obviously, like, he's not going to be a big star in those movies. He's only going to appear as Nick Fury here and there and here and there. But they basically said, we know what we're doing now. Samuel L. Jackson, we want you for Nick Fury, and you're going to be in 9 movies. Are you okay with that? And he's like, you're going to pay me all the money? Yeah, I'll do it.
Probably a bit swearier than that, though, to be fair.
Yeah. He was like, I want all the motherfucking money to be in these motherfucking movies.
Can I have a purple eye patch? This is bad.
And they said, yes, Mr. Fishburne, you can.
That's shocking.
That's not my joke. Fuck off.
Yeah.
So back to Iron Man then. So while Tony Stark begins developing his suit, and you get the nice little moment with Pepper comes into the thing and he's building the arm bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a repulsor or something like that. That's what he calls it, something like that. Yeah. And he kind of shoots it, and he goes flying back, and he has his little, I didn't see that come in, or something like that. So while that's happening, while he's building his suit, by the way, the silver suit is way better than the red and gold one.
Yeah. Totally.
The guys in Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever are putting back together the original Iron suit.
Yeah, because they're going to build their own suit.
So, well, not their own; it's Tony's. But so they're putting that back together. And one thing I wanted to mention is, the main guy who's got like all the skin off his face removed, like burnt off.
Yeah, burnt.
You're going to cover that off in the sand, aren't you? That's going to sting.
Okay.
Not even a dressing on that.
Not even a dressing. Shit.
That upset me. That did upset me.
That just shows how hardcore he is.
Exactly.
I suppose.
He's a man's terrorist, if you know what I mean. He's
hardcore. Manly terrorist.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
He's like, I don't need no dressing on this. Like, not in that accent though.
Jesus. Let's move on then. So they're rebuilding the iron suit. Tony's doing his thing, and What's Jeff Bridges' character called? Jebediah, is it?
Obadiah.
Obadiah, not
Yeah,
Jebediah.
Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah Stane.
Stane is a horrible surname.
It's a great name though, Obadiah. Although Downey Jr. calls him Obi at one point. Oh no.
Yeah.
No thanks. That's kind of like when they shortened Anakin to Annie. It's like, go fuck yourself. Don't be doing that because you're on a roll.
Yeah, we basically get some kind of sort of, you know, like world building. Tony's building his suit and all that kind of thing. He crashes a party. I think it's like a Disney complex or some like Disney convention center or something. There's a big party. That's what they call it in the movie. That is what they call it in the movie. I just watched it this morning. It is what they call it in the movie.
They call it D23.
No, don't question me. But so he crashes that. Then the journalist slag woman who he
Christine Everhart.
Whatever, who he pulled at the start of the movie, she tells them that Stark weaponry is being used to kill civilians in the Middle East, which he didn't know anything about. He confronts Obadiah, who says, "Fuck you! I'm the big bad."
Which by the way, let's play credence to that scene. That is a fucking great scene. You know when they're on the stairs, and all the press are taking the pictures, and he's like, "Let's take a picture, Tony." And then he basically turns around, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck you over, mate," with a nice big cheesy smile on his face. He's so good in that scene.
There is a better scene with him and Tony coming up later.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about later. But yeah, that scene is good. That scene is very, very good. Yeah, definitely. So Tony basically goes, right, enough's enough. I ain't having none of this shit. He puts the Iron Man suit on, and he's going to go and blow up his weapons. So we get this, you know, really the second big set piece of the movie where he's going about blowing everything to fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we think
This is
about
when
it?
he's fully embraced himself being Iron Man, really.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a nice little set piece, loads of explosions, some cool moments where things blowing up in the background, and Iron Man's walking towards the camera. Nice.
Because hard men walk away. and he doesn't.
After you've blown it up,
and he doesn't. He doesn't
You're going to walk
flinch
towards
once.
it when it's on fire, are you? He's not stupid.
Well, the thing about that is, it's okay, like doing the hard man thing where you walk away and you don't flinch when the explosion goes off, but you're in a fucking Iron Man suit. Why would you flinch? You're a bit of a bitch if you flinch.
Yeah.
He didn't flinch though.
But that's what I'm saying. You know, you can act hard and you can act tough, but you're in an Iron Man suit.
And I bet that wasn't even slowed down. That was real time. He was just walking slow, just to be cool.
And they probably didn't even use like that camera effect to make it look like he was like quite far away. He probably was just literally stood right beside it, like fuck this.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm off to do some rails.
Imagine he'd done like a Luke Skywalker thing, just gone after it. I know that's way in the future, but there you go.
Also, that doesn't work in audio. You brushing your shoulder, so
Yeah, I know, but you laughed, so
yeah, I know.
yeah. Anyway,
So where are we?
right, so fucking hell. So did we enjoy it? We enjoyed the set piece, didn't we?
I enjoy all the set pieces in this movie. I'll be completely
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm going to put it up front now. I think Iron Man. I forgot how fucking good this film was, and the set pieces in this film are fantastic. Which for a director that, as far as I had known before that, he'd done films like Made, Swingers, which is like talk movies, like not really not much action going on. I had no idea Favreau could do action like this. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, Favreau does a great job with the whole action series, and he definitely, you can tell he has the eye for for where he wants to set up shots and everything. And like you said, being someone that originally was from a bunch of talking head films, it was kind of a big gamble to be like, oh, here, we want you to make this big action flick, but from that, he obviously picked up a lot of like, oh, this shot would be really cool, and if we did this shot would be really cool, and and still able to capture the action without really being like, oh, this feels like there should have been something more here.
Exactly. It's what he's fucking great. I like Jon Favreau.
Yeah,
big fan.
Yeah, he's a good director, definitely. So then he's flying back to the US at this stage, isn't he? And he gets intercepted by the
Air Force
fighters.
Rhodey and his boys.
Yeah. So what do we think of this? Because isn't there I might be getting my movies mixed up here, because isn't there a bit where the pilot gets stuck in the plane's crashing, and doesn't the pilot get stuck in, like his ejector seat doesn't work?
Yeah, and he
only has to save him, and
he flies down to save him.
That's his eye. Okay, that's fine.
What movie?
It's
I think the guy actually ejects, and the parachute doesn't work.
So
is what it was.
So he punches through and ejects him.
Yeah, he punches the parachute holding housing and like rips it out for him before he hits the ground and becomes Man Burger.
Man Burger.
Nice.
Yeah. You know what it is that I have problems with that scene? It's a good scene. It's a brilliant scene, but I have problems with Iron Man being stuck underneath the plane. It's crap.
Well, he just Millennium Falcon did, didn't he?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I'm kind of just like, okay. But it's quite funny when the other pilot's kind of like, he's underneath you. He's attached to your plane. And I just have problems with that scene in total. But I love the interaction between him and Rhodey on the phone. When Rhodey's kind of like, my boys are going to take it down. He's like, but he's not sure it's him at first. And he's like, yeah, there's something going on here. That was kind of the moment that I'm sitting there. As you say, Terrence Howard should have been given another crack at this. That little bit of dialogue between him and Tony there. They have good dialogue in the movie. They have great chemistry together. But that little moment, I'm sitting there going, yeah, Terrence Howard did kind of get fucked over here.
Yeah.
He definitely did. But I suppose that's just, that's how it goes.
Cheadle does a good job. But I definitely think Terrence Howard got fucked over.
I actually tend to prefer Cheadle, but as I said to Chris earlier, I think that's because I've seen more of him in the role. If I had got more of Terrence Howard, because Terrence Howard is a good actor, so maybe if I had got more of him, I would be cool with it. But as it is,
that's all right. He's in Empire now, so he's doing all right?
Oh, he's won Oscars and everything, isn't he? Did he not win one for Crash or something like that? So he's doing fine.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Plus, he was great in that rap pimp movie. That was a good movie. Hustle and Flow. Great.
Yeah.
Film. Great film.
Hey there, kids. Do you want to hear a show where a bunch of guys sit around in a comic book store and talk about comics and lifestyle choices, other goofy things and shenanigans they get up to? Then
when have we ever talked about comics? Usually it's people sitting on my lap and riding the struggle bus.
That's true. It's mostly shenanigans. But occasionally we talk about comics. And if you like any of those things, comics, shenanigans, Devin's lap, then you need to check out Snake Oil Comics with me, Travis, and my beautiful co-host, Big Dev.
Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and snakeoilcomics.com.
So we get back to the US. We get the little moment when Tony's getting the iron suit taken off him by the robots, and Pepper walks in. Nice little moment there.
Yeah,
remember that bit?
Pepper's involved. I'm not bothered.
He goes, admit it. This is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's a nice little line. Come on.
Yeah, but it's Pepper, so.
Shut the fuck up. Are you really hating Pepper that much?
I think the character.
You just be Kev about it.
Fuck you. I think the character is. I'm not a big fan of the Pepper Potts character anyway, but then you put Gwyneth Paltrow in that role, and I like it even less.
But who else are you going to cast there?
I don't know. Anyone?
Like
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone was just a kid then, wasn't she? Or
yeah,
she was too young then.
Let's see. Then it would have been, maybe Reese Witherspoon.
No.
Who else was big around that time?
2008.
Mary Jane Watson. What's her name?
No, not
Oh,
In the Spider
no,
movies?
yeah, definitely not her.
What's her name? Ah, crap. Damn it.
Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten
That's
Dunst.
the one. Good bad.
There's any
Gwyneth
number.
Paltrow's better than Kirsten Dunst. Come on.
Kirsten Dunst been worse than Gwyneth Paltrow, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Gwyneth Paltrow. I loved her in Seven when she got her head cut off.
And only that scene.
Only that scene. What's in the box?
A very honest performance by Gwyneth Paltrow.
She gave great head in that scene. Whoa! I went there. Right. So where are we?
All right. So where are we now? Where are we? So then where are we now? So Rhodey knows that he's Iron Man. Pepper Potts knows that he's Iron Man. So
is the next scene where Pepper has to help Tony remove the old arc reactor and put a new arc reactor in?
That's earlier on in the movie. Yeah, that's before we see the first Iron Man suit.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Is it now? It's now when he gets Pepper to go into like Stark Enterprises or whatever to remove the arc reactor.
Oh, when she
specs from the computer or something.
She does a hacker's job.
She does a hacker's job, and that's when she finds out that Obadiah was the one who had
right before Obadiah walks into the office. That's right.
Because in 2008 Google Translate is fantastic on those videos.
Yeah, I didn't know Google Translate could do that at all.
I was kind of sitting there watching it. I was going, bullshit. But if movies, it works.
Movies, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Tony Stark as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that again. Jeff Bridges is nice and sinister in that bit where he walks in and she's hiding the thing underneath the paper and all that.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool little moment.
Yep.
He's
she walks out and he figures out what's going on, and she gets basically escorted out of the building by Coulson, which ties everything.
Who we haven't touched on yet.
No.
Phil
he's
Coulson.
not really been in it. Not yet. Not really.
He's had a couple of little mini scenes where he introduces himself as the strategic homeland blah 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 shield.
Yeah.
Yep, shield. Just say shield. That's fine. And then I think we get the moment where the other moment with Obadiah and Tony that I was on about, where Tony picks up the phone and thinks he think it's it is Pepper, but Obadiah stood behind him. He's got that thing that like rings in his ears.
Yeah.
And Tony's frozen on the spot. That's now, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a pretty cool little device. I wouldn't mind having one of them.
Bit rapey, Kev. Bit rapey.
Like for the kids and that, just like not kids in general, like my kids, just like blast them in the ears so that they can't move.
Okay.
Wow. No, that sounded even worse.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Move on. Move on then. Just thought it was a good device to have.
Okay. Wow. Jesus Christ, he spoiled it. Yes. That's a nice sinister little scene between the two of them, and we kind of realise that Obadiah has been a complete bastard.
Yeah.
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 And then does it not just run into the big battle?
Well, yeah, he goes to the Middle East because they've rebuilt the suits and all that kind of thing. Or is that earlier on? He goes
That's earlier on, because the whole scene with Tony in his living room and the Obadiah revealing his big sinister plan and stealing the arc reactor out of his chest and almost killing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he uses the same device on the guy in Afghanistan.
That's right. You're right, Dev. Yeah, that. Yeah.
The man what doesn't have a dress on his face.
Exactly.
Because he's hardcore.
Or just clumsy because it would have been infected by now. So just
you got problems with that?
Yeah, I don't. Well, it would hurt.
I think he's fine.
So we've got that bit then. Well, Obadiah's got the suit now, and he's got the arc reactor now, so Tony has to get the original arc reactor from earlier on in the movie, which Pepper Potts had framed in a really cheap-looking glass case.
It is pretty cheap.
It's overly cheap, isn't it? He's a billionaire. Get a proper fucking glass case.
Oh, come on! It was the sentimental thought and the quote in it to like make you just stop and be like, oh, she really cares for him.
Yeah.
Alex, it's like 5 little panes of glass with some silicone. It looks like shit.
The thing about that is, Dev, we've already established numerous times in this movie she uses his money anyway to buy things. So
yeah,
she could have easily bought a nice case for it.
Yeah. I'm thinking like Beauty and the Beast, like a nice dome.
Well, now you're going too far.
Something with a nice mahogany base.
Yep, exactly.
With some rose petals on the bottom. Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, definitely. Better movie.
Better movie. What, Beauty and the Beast, or?
Oh no, never that. Right, okay, so, Pepper, she's... What the fuck happened? She goes to confront Obadiah, is it, or something like that? No, she leads S.H.I.E.L.D. to him. Yeah,
she leads S.H.I.E.L.D. to the big arc reactor facility where Obadiah has the what is it? The Ironmonger suit.
Yes,
Ironmonger,
which has been
awesome name.
It's been souped up. I didn't actually know that's what it was called, to be honest.
Yeah, he's the character that he is the Ironmonger, and that's the Ironmonger suit. It's like Iron Man, but just big, bulky, and shitty.
Because that's basically what Marvel movies did in Phase 1. They were like, right, your baddie is going to be you, but bigger, more souped up, and worse.
Yes.
They did a lot of
Although, that's every series of The Flash and every series of Arrow, so shut the fuck up.
No, I'm just saying that's like a general thing that they do.
No, that's just not Marvel. You imply that was Marvel.
Well, it is Marvel.
That's pretty much every superhero has their flip of the coin villain, where it's like, oh, he's bigger, badder, and just kind of a shitty version of you.
Especially Marvel.
This is not going to work. This is not going to work. Because after 6 of these episodes, Steph, I'm going to be ready to kill him. He's all right tonight because it's over Skype, but I still kind of want to kill him a little bit. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a very Marvel trope. So where are we now?
I'm not telling you.
The iron,
okay.
The Iron.
Well, it's the fight, isn't it? It's the fight. Ironmonger's there. He's going to kill Pepper. Tony's got the mini arc reactor thing from earlier on in the movie, so he's got his Iron Man suit powered. So he goes to confront him, and we have the big battle.
Yeah.
So what do we think of the big battle at the end?
Again, just like every other set piece, it's not without its problems. There are problems in this scene, but I think again when you've got two big kind of Colossus things like that going at it, there's gonna be problems. But for the most part, it's standout.
I think a lot of the.
Sorry, on you go, Def. On you go.
I think a lot of the problems with kind of the set pieces and that kind of come from just Marvel's lack of really how do we make a movie in this realm of comic books but make it feel realistic. And I think that's kind of where those set pieces, it's like because the big arc reactor, it's like that's cool, it's not really realistic, but it's at least grounded in some reality, and at that point in time they just didn't have a whole lot of experience with that, because I mean, even if you look at the Incredible Hulk, which comes right after it, I mean, a lot of the set pieces, what is it? It's medical equipment and military equipment. It's like all stuff that you could just get off the shelf.
Yep.
Where they're having to build a world around it, and they just weren't as well versed in it at this point.
Yeah, and obviously you'd had your Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 out by then. Spider-Man 3 as well, or was that after 2008? I can't remember. Was that 2007?
I think it was after.
Was it after?
So.
But, you know, so it's like Spidey and Spidey 2. Obviously, you got Doc Ock in the second one. You've got the Green Goblin in the first one looking all cartoony and, you know, the hoverboard thing. So obviously they can't go for that in their universe because, you know, that just wouldn't work.
Right.
There are two moments in the fight that I want to mention. One of them is it's like Tony or Iron Man is hiding behind like a sort of, you know, a vent or something like that, and the camera's right close up to him, and he's looking to his side, and the Ironmonger's sort of looking for him in the background. I thought that looked really, really cool.
Okay.
That was just a little moment. It's nothing to do with the fight. I just thought it looked cool, is all. Yeah, and also the other moment where just before Tony Stark, before Iron Man beats him, is obviously he beats him by thinking him up into space.
Spoilers.
Or shut up. But like when the Ironmonger takes off, and it's like a big bastard NASA rocket, just a bunch of smoke everywhere, and like you know, like the sound of it and all that.
It just sounds rough.
Cool. Yeah, it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's a beautifully done movie. I mean, it was, you know, it's the whole reason why we have the Marvel phases that we have today, because they did a really good job of, you know, keeping it light and humorous, but, you know, injecting the seriousness of the characters when they needed to do it.
Definitely. And, you know, there was also some actual jeopardy to, or it felt like there was jeopardy to Iron Man in that scene, because he was outclassed, and, you know, the bit where he, like, sort of crushes his mask and, like, pulls it off him and all that kind of thing, and so it actually feels like there's a threat to your hero in the movie, which, you know, unfortunately now, with different movies, not just Iron Man Kev, not just a Marvel Kev, shut the fuck up, but different movies now, it doesn't always feel like that.
No,
it's getting harder and harder for them to find threats that seem credible when it's like, well, especially like, I'd say even after the Avengers movies is really when it started to feel like they're really, how is this even a threat? You know, a god and, you know, the Hulk, you just call them up and, I mean, this will take care of itself.
Yeah, there is that. They take on like these world-ending things in the Avengers movies, and then in their own solo projects, they take on something that you sit there and you go, "I'm sorry, mate, but you could take that. I've seen I've seen you take much worse than that. You could take that." And you know that's kind of where my problem lies nowadays. But as you say, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. There's a really good line in one of the series of Buffy, one of the later series of Buffy. It's like a bottle episode, and you know, you're like 5-6 series in by now, and you've had everything happen, and then there's one of the episodes where Giles goes, "It's the end of the world," and like the entire Scooby Gang goes, "What again?" And you know, it's the same kind of thing, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. So he takes him out. Obadiah's taken out. Does he doesn't kill Obadiah? Does he kill Obadiah?
He falls into the arc reactor, doesn't he?
Right.
Pepper Potts blows up the arc reactor.
Yeah, and it's like basically like a gigantic electromagnetic pulse, and it almost kills Tony, and it definitely kills Obadiah, because he does fall into the arc reactor.
Yeah, he dead.
Yeah.
And where do we go from there? There's pretty much nothing else left. They have
no, all the way up just till the news conference when he finally goes. You know, he's supposed to say it's not Iron Man, and then he reveals that he's Iron Man.
Yeah, great ending, by the way.
Because you would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
fucking awesome ending.
It's one of the things I've always loved about the Iron Man movies. I know I have my problems with one of the Iron Man movies, but I kind of love the fact that he does just live out there. Like the end of the first movie, I'm Iron Man, and then is it the third one when he's like, you want to come and take me on? I live here. Like,
yeah.
That's what I like about Tony Stark, but that's just the character. He's just a bold.
But then the start of the second one, where he's at the court hearing thing, and they're wanting to take the Iron Man suit off him and build it into War Machine. Spoilers. He's going like, no, you can't have it because, like, there's peace in our time, and it's because of me.
Yeah. Because Tony Stark's an arrogant prick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But to be fair, you would be.
That's the one thing that I do like that Marvel has done. They've consistently kept Tony Stark's character super arrogant while still giving him some emotional growth. Especially like after the second. After the first Avengers movie, when he starts to have basically like PTSD and Iron Man,
piping hot mess.
He still remains arrogant in moments, but you definitely get a feeling that he's had some emotional growth, but he still hasn't quite learned.
Yeah, the only one that didn't necessarily feel earned is we're jumping way ahead in the universe now. Is Civil War. When he finally, he's confronted by the woman in the hallway who said that you dropped a building on my son. But that moment, shut the fuck up. That moment in there, and then he went to speak to the Avengers and said, "Oh, we dropped the building on him when we were kicking ass and all that kind of thing." Mm-hmm. And it's like that doesn't really feel earned, that he's being that judgmental about it at all.
But that was because they had to set up the conflict between.
Well, I know that, but it didn't feel earned to me. I don't think it fit.
Because they kind of decided, right, we're going to do Civil War, but they're kind of all friends right now, so we have to make up some friction.
Yeah, and they're dropping those of people's sons on buildings.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're trying to stay. They were trying to stay as true to the stories as possible.
Yeah.
With the B-list characters that they had from after selling off all their main good characters. So, I mean, they had to make some changes, and that was just one of those ones. It's like, well, there isn't anything else really, we can't do what they did in the comics to create the friction, so here's this callback to another movie.
I know what you mean. I just felt a little bit forced when he's being all preachy and that to them. It just felt a little bit forced, that's all.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you can't have 100% perfect movies all the time, but they've done a solid enough job to be like, this I can live with what choices they're making.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Yeah.
And you were about to make a BVS comment there, weren't you?
I certainly was, but I decided not to.
You had your little smile on your face there.
I don't know. I thought I'm going to let Dev have his moment.
No, as soon as you said you can't have perfect movies all the time, Kev got a little wee smirk on his face. Alright, Batman versus Superman. God love him.
Yeah, but there isn't a perfect point in that movie, so.
I was letting you have your moment. So then we have.
Have you got any trivia, Kev?
I got some little bits of trivia. The first thing that I'll mention is the press conference is where the movie ends. When he says I'm Iron Man, which I think we all agree it's a good ass scene. One of the bits of trivia is that to avoid spoilers on that final press conference scene, all the extras in that scene were told that it was actually a dream sequence.
Oh,
huh?
Yeah,
that's shit.
Isn't it?
I don't like that.
That's weird.
But like, how does that stop the spoiler getting out? Because surely they would just say, "What?"
Maybe going, "Oh well, there's no point in telling people about that because it's a dream sequence. It has no consequence to the." That's shit,
isn't it?
Yeah. That's kind of stupid.
So when filming began, the script was not actually completely finished. However, the filmmakers were more focused on the story and the action, so Jon Favreau basically let Downey Jr. and his core cast do a lot of improvisation.
Oh.
Yeah, which apparently is why Gwyneth Paltrow looks quite shocked in some scenes because she had no idea what was coming. just a bit of trivia for you.
Okay, all right.
That's actually kind of cool that they just kind of let some of the guys kind of riff and do their own thing. It adds kind of a maybe it added a little bit of a reality to the movie that wouldn't have otherwise been there.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring that one up, because we've said a couple of times tonight, and Chris and I have said, and I'm sure Dev you've said before, but this movie was a massive risk. They were taking a huge risk with this movie. The fact that they brought on Jon Favreau, the fact that they eventually cast Robert Downey Jr., and it seems like even after all those choices were made, they were still taking risks by letting the core cast just fucking run with it, to be fair.
But also Iron Man in general, because, we've both said, Kev, we had no interest in Iron Man.
No, I didn't.
In an Iron Man movie. It was basically they wanted to kick off their own universe, and Sony were doing their thing with Spider-Man. They didn't have Spider-Man, so if they were going to do it, they had to pick a character to do it with, and it was Iron Man.
Yeah, they didn't have Spider-Man, they didn't have the X-Men, they didn't have Fantastic Four. I mean, that was, at the time when these movies were coming out, that was who they were pushing in the comics. That was their A-squad, and, the Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, they're all B, C list characters that they're like, well, we got to get on, strike while the iron's hot, and they ended up figuring out a way to do it, make you care about some characters that, like you guys said, you never cared about them, even though some of these characters have had like massive, major, world-changing storylines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
like what? Iron Man's the first comic book character to have to deal with a drug and alcohol addiction. So I mean, it's not like these characters don't have storied histories. They're not characters that the major that they were pushing at the time.
Yeah.
I just
I was I've just seen Spider-Man 2. I don't want to see an Iron Man movie. I've just seen Spider-Man 2. But
I remember literally back in the day, like asking one of my friends at high school who was really into comic books and all that, and basically saying to him, so Iron Man, what's Iron Man? And basically turned around and says, well, he's kind of Batman. And I was like, right, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
And that's what sold me on it. So this one made me laugh. The whole Michael Caine thing about doing his Jaws movie to buy a house. Basically, Paul Bettany does the voice of Jarvis. Has never...
Yep.
I don't know if this is still true, but Paul Bettany has never actually seen Iron Man, and he's unfamiliar with the plot. So he took it because it was the easiest job ever. It almost felt like robbery. He worked for 2 hours, got paid a lot of money, then went on vacation with his wife.
Fair play. I'd bloody well do that.
He must have seen it now, though.
I don't think he has. I'm gonna guess that he probably hasn't watched it.
No, he has to by now. He's main player now.
Well, I still don't think he has had to have watched that movie.
So, to prepare for his role as Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. spent 5 days in rehab. No, sorry. Spent 5 days a week. Spent 5 days. I read the wrong one there. Sorry, I was reading his life story. He spent 5 days a week weight training and practiced martial arts, and my God, did it work for him?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fucking rehab.
I'm sorry, man.
Again, why he was? That's exactly why he was a perfect actor to be, or person to be cast as that character, because there was backstory already built in because of who he was as a person.
Exactly. Another Paul Bettany one for you here, because my God, this guy just says too much. So he didn't know which film he was actually working on. He did the job as a favour to Jon Favreau because they worked together on Wimbledon. He needs to shut up. So
well, mentioning Wimbledon is enough, really.
I know. So an early draft of the script actually had the Mandarin appear in the movie.
Wow. That would have been interesting.
Well, it would have been because, obviously, like I said earlier, with the big banner behind Tony Stark, maybe that's kind of just a remnant of that.
It could very well be. That would kind of make sense. And I don't know. I'd have to go back and read the original origin story of Tony Stark, but I don't think it was originally the Mandarin. But it definitely was originally. It took place in Korea or Vietnam. Yeah. Because it was right around that conflict time that they created Iron Man, and why they updated it to Afghanistan terrorism when they released it was because that was kind of big in pop culture at point in time. Yeah.
So another one on the script here, we said about apparently there was no real script going on. So Jeff Bridges said he felt very uncomfortable not having a script or rehearsals, since normally he was very prepared. And now he says that he realised that the movie was a $200 million student film.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bit bitchy, isn't it?
Isn't it? I don't think he means it in a bitchy way, though. I think that, he's saying there it took the pressure off him and it made it fun. So he's not being bitchy. He's just saying that once he realised they were making a student movie, everything was gravy.
Sounds bitchy.
You're just going to take that as a bitchy comment.
It sounds a little bitchy.
It's Jeff Bridges, though.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, that's terrible.
So it took approximately 17 years to get this film into development.
Wow.
I know, yeah. Originally, Universal Pictures was to produce the film in April 1990. They later sold the rights to 20th Century Fox. Later, Fox sold the rights to New Line Cinema. Finally, Marvel Studios decided to handle their own creation. Thank fucking God they did. That's a lot of companies to be.
That's mental, isn't it?
Well, isn't the original Hulk movie Universal Pictures?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense that the first studio they went to was the same one that did that abortion of a Hulk movie. Actually, it's not that bad. It's probably the closest to an actual. Well, it's the closest to an actual comic book movie that you're ever going to get, because it was shot to look like a comic book. Mm-hmm. With the scene transitions and everything. That's like a true, hey, we're making a comic book movie. Here's these panelings and transitions to make it look like a comic. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have that scene when the explosion goes off and the guy kind of flies towards the thing and then it freeze frames, it goes into color, and then it comes. Oh no, don't talk about that film. Yeah. I've watched it again recently. It's not that bad. It is not great, but it's not that bad. I'm going to end with this one, and I want to know everybody's feelings on this. Hugh Jackman was offered the role of Tony Stark. Get the fuck out of here with that.
Oh no.
No?
No.
Even when he's riding high off Wolverine at this point in time, he's big in the X-Men universe. No. I know what you're saying. Downey Jr., Dave, you've said it a couple of times, is the perfect person to cast. It's built in history, built in legacy. He is Tony Stark, pretty much, to be fair. Yeah. And when he gets sloshed in the second movie, I mean, it's more believable. We can be like, yeah, because he's probably had nights like that.
Yeah.
Many nights like that, I would say. But we'll.
No, I think Hugh Jackman would have been a terrible choice for that character.
Yeah. And here's a quick one to end with. I was going to end with that one, but I'm going to end with this one. So apparently Nicolas Cage, Hugh Jackman was offered the role, but apparently Nicolas Cage and Tom Cruise were both interested in the Iron Man role. Imagine Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Imagine Nicolas Cage as Iron Man. Dear God.
Nicolas Cage would be fucking great as Iron Man. You know if I
No.
I'm Iron Man, god damn it.
Yeah. No, I think that would have also been terrible casting. I don't know. Tom Cruise, he's a big action star. He probably could have pulled it off. I think it would have been less. Again, it would have been less believable because of the Robert Downey Jr. Everybody knows him as a party boy. And he's a fairly decent looking dude, and Tony Stark is supposed to be a good looking playboy type character with drug addiction problems, and Tom Cruise probably could have pulled it off, but I don't think it would have been as well done or as well received.
Plus,
I think of the three of them, Tom Cruise is the only one I could actually see doing it.
Yeah.
But could you see Jeff Bridges fighting a midget?
Well, no, it's the Iron Man suit, so that you can have heels on that shit.
But then his eyes would just be in the chest plate.
Very, very high heels.
So that's pretty much where we're going to end the trivia. One last little thing though: did you guys know that Iron Man was nominated for 2 Oscars? I
did not.
I did not know that either.
It surprised me as well. I mean, the Techie Awards, so the night before awards.
Yeah.
But Marvel movie straight out the gate, all those chances that they took, and they were nominated for 2 Oscars. Which when I read that, I was like, shit, that's quite interesting actually.
Yeah, fair play.
I was quite pleased with that because we always complain that the superhero movies don't necessarily get their day in the sun when it comes to the big awards. And again, it's like visual effects and sound editing, so it's the Techie Awards that nobody really watches, but it's nice to know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the Academy Awards really aren't. I mean, those types of movies aren't meant to make or to generate Academy Award buzz. No. Moonlight is generated to make a movie that's going to be Academy nominated. La La Land is that kind of movie. It's not directed at the critics. It's directed at the general moviegoer.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not true.
That is true.
The Oscars is for your everyday man on the street.
No, it fucking isn't.
So we're going to start wrapping this up. Before we do though, Dev, we asked you a cheeky little favour. What we're going to be doing is, throughout this series of episodes, we're going to be correlating the top 5s of all our guests. Chris and I will also be doing ours. And by the end of it, Chris is going to work out a beautiful little spreadsheet, because he loves a spreadsheet.
I do like a spreadsheet.
And we'll figure out, through all the guests and through points and what have you in Chris's spreadsheet, what is the top 5 through our episodes with guests and us. So, Dev, we asked you to prepare your top 5. It sounded like you may flam it, but that still counts. So, why don't you give us yours? Give us yours, Dev.
All right. So 5 would be The Incredible Hulk. It's a solid movie. I'm a little disappointed that Norton going forward wasn't the Hulk character, but I think they made the right choice with Ruffalo. It's a solid movie, and it's the first time that we actually get a post-credit scene. Mm-hmm. So it holds a special place in my heart.
So Chris actually found some trivia on that. Would you like to tell Dev your little bit of trivia about the Hulk?
About Ed Norton and casting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently the director actually originally wanted Mark Ruffalo for that movie.
Really?
But Marvel shut him down and went with Ed Norton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Knowing that and how that movie is, I'm kind of glad they didn't have Ruffalo in that first. I mean, Ruffalo
I
is
suppose that's
fantastic.
good.
Yeah, Ruffalo's great as the Hulk and Bruce Banner. He's a good balance of both.
Yeah.
Norton was a better Bruce Banner than he was a Hulk, and Banner was a better Hulk than he was Banner. So I think they finally got it right.
But can we be honest though? Tim Roth would kick the shit out of Mark Ruffalo.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So number 4, Dev.
Number 4 would be Iron Man number 1.
Nice.
Yeah, it's again it holds a special place just because it was the movie to kick off everything that I love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's a solid watch. It has some technical issues like we discussed, but for the most, it's a beautifully done movie.
Completely agree.
Number 3 would have to be probably Civil War.
Nice.
Let's be honest, it's really Avengers 2.5, but it's a great. It's not maybe as impactful as the comic book story, but it's.
But like you said before, Dev, they were limited, obviously, because of Fox characters being with Fox and all that. But I think they pulled it off.
And I feel like when you read the story and you watch the movie, you really do come to the conclusion. Like in the book, it's like, Cap was always right, and Tony is like, he's right, to a certain extent, but he's wrong in what he's doing. In the movie, it's like, well, Cap is clearly in the wrong here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right in certain aspects, but he is not right for what he's trying to get across. But all in all, the movie itself, it's beautifully done. It's a fantastic movie. I couldn't find much to complain about it other than just the general departure from the original story.
Number 2.
Number 2 would be The Winter Soldier.
Nice.
I think that's going to get some good love. There's going to be a lot of people picking that movie.
Winter Soldier was a nice balance of old-fashioned spy movie and comic book movie, and it's it really for its, I'd almost say for its lack of showcasing Captain America, because there was a lot going on, it still did a wonderful job of showcasing the title character, even though the title character, let's be honest, was not really the title character in that movie. But it's a fantastic movie. Like I said, it's got that good quality spy movie feel with a lot of comic book action, and it's just a really great movie.
Winter Soldier shocked me it didn't shock me, but it really surprised me when it came out, because like you say, I went into it thinking I was getting Captain America 2, and about 10-15 minutes in, I'm like, what's going on here? I felt like I was watching Brad Pitt's fucking Spy Game, and then Robert Redford comes into it, and I really felt like I was watching Brad Pitt's Spy Game. And as the movie went on, I'm like, holy shit, this movie's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Even the opening of the movie and on the ship, it's like, when they're storming the ship, it's like fucking, it's like a computer game, it's...
Right. Yeah, it's a solid, great movie.
Yeah. Like BVS. So, number 1?
Number 1 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think that'll be high on a lot of people's lists.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely because it's just a great a sci-fi movie, but it ranks up there because I think they really did. It really showcases Marvel's ability to take characters that nobody gives two shits about and then make them characters that everybody loves. It's a shining example of what Marvel could do with just the throw-offs that they had in their stable at the time when they started this whole cinematic universe, and really got people to be like, wow, these characters are really awesome. And it was characters that like nobody gave two shits about in the comics, if we're being honest.
Much like Iron Man. Like I say, I knew very little to nothing about Iron Man. You can be damn sure when I heard Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, I had no fucking clue what they were.
Yeah, agreed, and that's why it took me so long to watch it, is because on the trailer they had a talking raccoon and a tree, and I was like, what? Am I drunk or what? That can't be right.
It's a beautiful showcase of what Marvel could do with characters that nobody had ever heard of.
Definitely, absolutely.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, it's definitely not because it's the strongest movie in the series, but it is definitely the shining jewel of like, hey, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot by selling off all these other great characters. So who do we got that we can throw in there and pull in the space element? Because that's essentially what they're doing with that cast of characters. Is like, okay, we've got all this Earth terrestrial, we've got gods. Now, how do we pull in the sci-fi element? And what do we got? Oh, we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, so they're going to be our keystone sci-fi angle on this whole thing.
And then, of course, you put Chris Pratt in there and everybody's watching it.
Well, yeah.
Well, man, that's a good top 5. I like that. We will. Chris will be putting that into his spreadsheet. So
got to make it first.
Yeah, you have to make it first. You have to make it that. And this has pretty much been the first episode of the Road to Infinity Wars. We got a few more coming. And Dev, thank you so much for joining us for the first one.
Well, thanks for allowing me to join in on the fun.
Yeah, man, this has been awesome. This has been really cool.
We can listen back to this episode, and now we know how not to do it for the next one. So, no, Dev, it's been fantastic having you on. I always enjoy speaking with you and the bit back and forth that we have, and I know you love BVS, so we'll just leave that there.
Yeah. I definitely would not say love. Love's maybe a little too strong.
Just a little too strong, just a little.
I did actually have the opportunity to watch it again over break, and I passed hard.
Oh man, you're missing out. You're missing out.
No, I don't think so.
So again, before you head off, would you like to just give people a little shout out to your multitude of podcasts, and we will wrap up the show from there?
Yeah, sure. Find me on Snake Oil Comics. It's on Twitter at SOC Podcast. It's hour or so show weekly. We talk occasionally about comics, not always, but it's a fun little nerd life podcast. And Shot of History at Shot of History on Twitter. It's a 30-minute drunk taste of some interesting history. And let's see, when this show drops, we will be talking about history that occurred on New Year's.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, so look forward to that. It's always a fun time learning about some kind of crazy stuff. Eventually, we might have to get into the harder stuff, but right now we're keeping it as light as possible.
And do you ever dip into the British history, or is it like just the history of everything?
It's the history of everything. Our first year, we did a couple of famous British military guys. But we'll definitely, if you've got a topic, and we've got the technology to Skype in, if you guys ever want to be on the show, just let me know.
Chris, you'd be awesome at that. You love.
I like talking about history, but not when I'm doing shots.
And not with me.
Well, especially not with you, because you just turn into an asshole. Turn into.
That's just me. That's just me in general. So yeah, we're gonna end this there, lads. Come back for the next episode. Obviously, go and listen to Dev's shows. I'm sure they're good. They'll probably not be as good as us, but I'm sure they're good. But yeah, come back for next week's episode. Next week's episode is going to be The Incredible Hulk, which is just me and Chris flying solo on that one because we couldn't find anybody willing to talk about that movie, which was a shame. And we have some fantastic guests coming up for the rest of this little franchise series thing. If it lasts, I don't know.
Might get bored, but we'll see what happens.
We probably won't get bored. We'll probably just we'll get bored.
Well, you'll probably wake up at like 4 a.m. after episode 3 and go, "Ooh, that'll be better," and we'll end up talking about Star Wars or fucking something like that.
Yeah.
And there's no denial there, Kev.
There isn't. I can't deny anything. I do. Listeners, I do wake up at 4 a.m. and go, "Wouldn't this be great?" Then I'll text. I'll text Chris and I'll be like, "Chris, are you awake?" Well, I am now. And it'll be like, "What if we do this?" No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. So I expect when we get closer to the Han Solo movie being released, you guys are going to do a similar series for that.
Ooh, no, that's an idea. But like with the original trilogy, the prequels.
When is Han Solo out? July or something? Is it summer?
I thought it was Christmas. Is it not Christmas again?
No, I think it's middle of the year.
Is it?
We'll have to check.
I think so.
I can't remember.
Let me see.
I heard they're not very confident about it anyway.
Well, I think that's horseshit.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how well they're going to do a Han Solo prequel story. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
It's one of those stories that, like, I've always been interested in where Han Solo is like come from and all that. But at the same time, I didn't really want to see it. So
I think it works better as novelizations than actual movie.
Because
it's out in May, by the way. So that's that whole thing.
That's not going to happen.
Well, no, because we could release these on a Monday, and then on a Wednesday we could release like a Star Wars Road to Star Wars, and then on a Friday the normal episodes.
Yep.
Oh,
run that by Lindsay and just just make sure you film it for me, yeah?
I'd be divorced, mate. I'd be divorced. Right, guys. This has been fantastic. I think this series might kick off. I think it should be all right. We'll do okay, I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
Again, Dave, thank you so much for coming on for the first episode. It was a nice way to just ease us in gently as you are just big, sexy Dev.
Oh, well, I try to please.
I know you do. So would everybody just like to say goodbye? And I'll cut that off there.
Later.
That's a snazzy goodbye.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you, and goodbye.
Dev, it's been fantastic having you on, and I can't wait to have you on again. We'll have to get you on the main show, and you can be in an actual 365 feed episode.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Looking forward to it.
And we'll invent another show for Dev to come on, just not the main show.
Yeah. See, you say that as if I just go around inventing shows like every 2 minutes.
Well, that's not for here.